Yo, it's boy Marcus Morrison back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the COD mobile community disconnect. So this kind of goes into the COD mobile community's lack of console experience, which kind of inhibits them in understanding how COD has always been and what should be done to improve the game, right? So I'm not saying that COD mobile needs to be just like console CODs. It doesn't, because there's a lot of things wrong with console CODs nowadays, and we don't want those changes being implemented into COD mobile. But there are changes that exist in console COD now that should be implemented into COD mobile. For example, a ban system in ranked, right? We need that in COD mobile. We have desperately needed it for about 5 years now, and it's never come. But that's a staple in any ranked system in console COD. So why hasn't that come? Why is that not there? Why is there not a big push for that? And I think that's because a lot of COD mobile players don't even understand that that exists, right? We forget that there's a huge amount of people that play COD mobile ranked multiplayer where this system would actually be involved, but they don't play any sort of console ranked, so they don't understand that this system should be there. So to them, it's just like public matches, but there's a rank system too, so you can hit legendary. That's a problem. That's kind of needs to change, right? So it doesn't resonate with COD mobile players that there's a whole nother side of COD mobile that they're kind of not getting because they don't have that COD experience on console or PC to sort of generate like what it should actually be like. Now, this also kind of garners like a lack of respect from players in ranked, allowing it to be like the Wild West in a sense. Like it's basically everything goes, right? Everybody could just use whatever they want. It's basically public matches in a ranked format, and there's no sort of respect. So in the console COD scene, there's a level of respect and understanding when you're playing ranked on console to follow GAs. GAs are gentlemen's agreements put forth by the professional players on console to not use certain things that are cheesy or abused or broken or whatever the case may be, overpowered, right? So they get GA'd because they're simply too good, right? And the point is to have some sort of skill gap to where, you know, not everybody's just abusing, let's say, gas grenades, C4s, thermite man of wars, and name another cheesy thing, right? When the shorty was broken, let's say the shorty. So you can't just have everybody abusing that. Sure, everybody will be using the same thing, but it's not good for everybody to be using that. You know what I mean? I'm getting killed while I'm running behind a separate wall. I got shot over here 3 times, but I'm burning for the next 5 seconds. You know what I mean? So that kind of thing shouldn't be existent. Another thing I hate is like COD mobile players asking for the most pointless changes. So you ever scroll through like the Instagram page for COD mobile's Instagram, and you always see, I feel like every time I turn around, add a new BR map, add a new BR map. I'm like, why? There's already 4 BR maps. That's a bunch of BR maps. There's tons of BR you can play, right? And they're good. Cry is good. Alcatraz is great. Isolated's great. Blackout's great. So I feel like, why do you need another BR map? Why are people still asking for another BR map? There are a lot bigger fish to fry. We need a ranked system that actually kind of tests skill. You know what I mean? It needs to be actually challenging to hit legendary, right? Now, if you play enough, you eventually hit it. Like now, that's what it is now. For a lot of people hit legendary same day, right? The release drops at like 8 p.m. at night, and by 8 p.m. the next day, people are legendary. You know what I mean? So it can be done really easily. The only problem is it doesn't necessarily test like the actual skill level of people doing it, because terrible players by the end of the season in ranked, there are absolutely atrocious players in ranked, and they're like insanely bad. It's absurd. That being said, that kind of drags me into another issue that I wanted to address, which was like the mode voting. Allowing people to just play search and destroy makes me sick, because they just play search. This isn't a thing on console, right? On console and ranked, they pick the mode for you, and in BO6 you just veto which map you don't want to play, right? So in BO6 there's maps like Red Card for search and destroy, Vault, and Protocol. So out of those 3, you'll veto Red Card. Somebody on the other team or else in the lobby will veto Red Card. So Red Card gets vetoed, by 2 people, Protocol gets vetoed by 2 people, and then Vault gets vetoed by 1 person. So guess what? You're playing Vault. That system would be phenomenal in this game, right? We get that in the game instead of just picking your map, right? Because when you pick your map, everybody just votes for firing range, summit, or raid, and that's all you play. You know what I mean? The other maps, like the only reason you would play another map is if one of those 3 isn't allowed to be voted for, then you end up playing either Candor Hideout or Kurohana Metropolis. And you're like, you know what I mean? That's just what it is. So that sucks. I wish they would make it to where people can't just play solely S&D. Because every time I get on from like 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. in that time span, you can only play S&D. If you take S&D out of your queue, you will take 5+ minutes to find a game. Because there's nobody else playing anything else. Once you put S&D in a queue, you will queue immediately. It takes like 10 seconds. I don't know why it is, but you got to make it to where people can't just pick one mode. Make it to where people have to pick 4, right? So they'll pick S&D, TDM, Frontline, and 1 respawn. Like 1 natural respawn. So control or hardpoint or domination. That being said, the non-existent public match system also funnels everybody into ranked, which allows it to be more watered down. So what I'm saying is pubs are just against bots, and people don't want to play against bots. If pubs were more often not bot filled, then people would want to play pubs more. This is where something like a prestige system would come through. Prestige system has been in many different Call of Duties on console, and it's something they did away with after BO4, and everybody hated it. It was so bad that they did away with this system that everybody loved and said, hey, we'll bring in this battle pass oriented system that blows. So they've sort of brought it back, and people have kind of like, now you have something to grind towards. I want to hit Prestige Master. You know what I mean? And that needs to be a thing in COD Mobile. That way they could put in an insane grind in COD Mobile, right? An insane one. And it would take a long time and people would be happy with it. So I'll cover that in a later date. But I was thinking like once we hit level 1000, right? We're at level 400 now. Then you reset down to Prestige 1 and you go again. And that would be an insanely long grind. That would take a lot of time for people to get. And it would be very satisfactory to people. Now, the Codm community and what they sort of do to like influence developers, right? Developers look at the community wallet, right? Like we're a wallet for the developers, and they're trying to figure out how they can make more money, right? It's a business. They want to make money. Here's how they do it. So the mythics and legendaries and things like that, the constant buying of that doesn't necessarily help us get what we want fixed with the game, right? We want a lot of changes made to the game, but everybody's just buying mythics and legendaries, and that's what their focus is, because that's what's making them money. So I think there needs to be a community shift towards like, hey, let's get this game a little bit better, and then we'll start buying more stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's something that needs to happen. The abuse of a lot of mechanics. So like I talked about with the gentleman's agreements on console, we need to have that kind of thing implemented with the community in COD Mobile, where people just genuinely agree to not use the stuff that's broken. Right now, the problem is one person starts using a thermite man of war, and then everybody's whipping them out. You know what I mean? I'm sick of seeing them. Right? I don't want to die to that. So guess what? I'll whip mine out, and now we can actually go. You know what I mean? That sucks. I hate that. So they need to fix that. There needs to be a change made to the game for sure. And then the last one I wanted to address is actually the COD Mobile to Warzone Mobile community disconnect. So like the actual people who play COD Mobile and like disdain for Warzone Mobile, right? They're both Call of Duty. Like it's like COD Mobile people look at Warzone Mobile like it's not even Call of Duty. They just look at it like a redheaded stepchild that is just lost and clueless. So I feel like there needs to be some change there. I think Warzone Mobile, it released a little too early. It would have been better off had they postponed it like a year or two, right? So they can actually get it running in a proper state. But you know, they're doing that now. It's getting better. It's actually a lot more fun to play now. So I'm interested to see sort of how the community evolves in their outlook on Warzone Mobile from a COD Mobile perspective. As you know, from my channel, I post both. I talk about both. I kind of do comparisons with both because they're both Call of Duties and they're both mobile Call of Duties. So there's a lot to talk about with those two. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you want to. This S&D gameplay right here, man. Look at this still two-piece. That was a huge two-piece in this last round to clutch it up for the boys. I'm shooting bodies because we were choking. I don't know if y'all were watching, but we were down like 2-4. And then we had to win like 3 straight to win this game. So, yeah, it was a pretty trash talk heavy game. I think there's a lot of typing in the chat in this one. So, had a lot to say. Been rocking the skin, by the way. If you don't have the skin, this is a dope female. I saw somebody make a short, shout out Sad Boy, about how this is like an underrated female character skin, and I agree. I think she looks great. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the COD Mobile community and the disconnect between COD Mobile and console and Warzone Mobile and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's been your boy Marcus Morsini. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you want to. And I'm out of here. Peace.